everyone, this is your instructor Joy. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your nice questions, comments, donations, and booking lessons with me. Today we are going to talk about scale books that's out there. There are millions of different scale books, and my students are a little confused, many of students, and I totally understand why, because there are too many. Should we get Flesch? Should we get even Galamian? Should we get Elizabeth Gilels? And there's even Flesch wrote a scale book. And sometimes every teacher published their own scale book, and then we're just in the abundance of different options. We don't know what to do. And so I decided to make a video about it, to talk about it. So before I talk of each scale books, what I think, let me first tell you my personal journey with different scale books in my entire life. When I was very little, back in Korea where I'm from, my teacher told me that I should get Flesch books, so I got that one. And then I changed the teacher, and then the new teacher said, no, you should get Hurimali. So I got Hurimali. That was my second scale book. And then I was introduced to a Russian professor, and then this Russian professor said, no, none of those. You have to get a subject books, 3 subjects, a subject, technique subject, bowing subject, shifting. I got those. And then I went to a master class, and their guest professor said, no, Flesch again, Flesch. So you have to do 45 minutes to an hour and a half Flesch every day. And then by the time I couldn't find my Flesch book anymore, so I got another Flesch scale book. Then later on, when I moved to Europe, and my very first professor told me, no, those scale books are bad. Get Elizabeth Gilels. That's the best scale book it's ever. So I got that. I studied, and then I went to New York to take lessons with teachers from New York. And they said, no, you need to get Galamian. Galamian scale books are the best. I got that one. And then I studied it. And you know, you are just trying to do whatever every single professor say, and not knowing what you're after. You're just trying everything, whatever your teacher told you to do. And now, after 36 or 7 years of playing, and went through all these different scale books and studies, etude books, I'm realizing it's actually that's basically a same book. The only differences are how many octaves are printed out, and what kind of fingerings each book is suggesting, and then also what kind of bowing that each book suggests. So basically, there isn't much that you can differentiate from key signatures. Key signatures are set: C major, A minor, and then G major, E minor, and so on. There isn't much that you could change about it, but each book, each publisher, or each violinist suggests different fingerings when it's shifting, or different bowing when it comes. And I realized you don't need to get all these books. You just need one scale book, and try all kind of given fingerings and see which works best for you, and then that you should stick to it. Of course, you should also practice the difficult fingerings, difficult bowings, or more octaves instead of 2, 3, or 4 octaves, to expand your capacity of playing. But simply because Flesch suggests so-and-so fingering when it comes so-and-so scale or running, does not mean that's the only way. And also sometimes he could be wrong and you could be right, right? Maybe it worked for Flesch, that does not mean they should work for you. Same thing goes with a Galamian and Gilels, or subject, or any other Flesch, whomever these fantastic violinists they are. I'm sure they were convinced of their doing it, and it worked with them. And that's why they decided to publish books like that. But we have to understand we have different body shape, different way of studying, and different length of a strength and weakness in our violin playing, as well as a good idea to practice scales, but use these all different books by great masters as a guidance, but you should be the one who make the final decision when it comes to right fingering, right bowing, so that you use your strength to play within repertoire, and also you know what your weaknesses are, therefore you emphasize those when you play scales. Yeah. So let's compare a little. Flesch deals about 1 octave to 3 octave scale, whereas Galamian deals to 2 to 4 octave scales. Elizabeth Gilels deals with a 4 octave scales. Here, in my opinion, it doesn't matter whether it's 1 octave printed out, 2 or 4, or even 6, 10 octaves, no matter what, because we're not there to read music. Even though it is friendly to have it all printed out notes so that we know where to mark it, where to follow, and we can write down the fingering above or below. But ultimately, once you understood key signature, you don't actually need that printed out music. However, fingerings, it's a good idea to write it down, whether on the sheet music or just on a blank paper. Flesch suggests fingerings of Flesch are not my favorite, because he liked to use like 1 2 1 2 shift, and he liked to shift more often, like something like 1 2 1 2 1 2 like this, or let's say 1 2 1 2. And then what I don't like about Flesch scale is like 4. He liked to use 4 4, like, and then stretch 4 and then 4 again. So I mean, nothing wrong with practicing, but I find the choice of fingerings are not most efficient way, because he liked to use the weakest finger, pinky, and he liked to shift often than necessary. Whenever you shift, you're risking the intonation, so in my opinion, that's not the best approach. Galamian, if I remember correctly, he didn't write down all the fingerings down. Well, now I gave it all away. I gave to all my students. I lost some of them because I don't follow books anymore. But if I remember correctly, Galamians didn't write down fingerings down unless it's 1 finger scale, like meaning like you do 1 1 1 2, like your 1 says 1 finger scale. If I remember correctly, Galamian had more like an open concept, meaning he did not write down every single rhythm. His scale books are just bunch of dots, does not have a stem nor bar lines. It just have bunch of dots, and then he has 2 books, like one made bunch of dots or key signature, no stem, no bar line, and second book is explaining what kind of bowing you should do, or 2 slurred, 4 slurred, or sometimes different rhythm, dotted, and so on. Gilels, if in my memory, that was just all written out nicely, but I think she liked to have it slurred more 4 instead of 3 like Flesch does. When it comes to user-friendly, when it comes easy for us to understand, I find it Gilels and Flesch. Elizabeth Gilels and Flesch books are easier to understand for students. I remember when I got Galamian books, and I was already in my late teens or early 20s, and when I got these Galamian books, 2 books, I'm like, what is this? It was hard to understand. Even though I read it through, I have to admit my English was back then not very good, but still, I kind of went through and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It was hard for me to understand. From within a couple of weeks, I had to spend quite a bit of time to kind of figure out and ask around. Whereas Gilels and Flesch was straightforward. It's all written out, the rhythm, the slurs, so it was easier to use. However, when it comes to difficulty, I find maybe difficulty might be, Flesch might be the highest, the most difficult one, because when it comes to double stops, I find it, especially thirds of Flesch, it's repeating a lot, but I find it unnecessarily too much, too fast, and overwhelming. When I see my advanced students, like university students who are majoring in violin, still they struggle. You're wondering, then what scale book should I get? I find it, if you decide to get one, I mean, you pick one, whatever you like, either Violin, Flesch, Galamian, Gilels, or Sevcik might as well. Sevcik is not scale book per se, but it has big chunk of scale, like simple scale, double stop scale, and so on with the repetition. You can get any of those, does not matter who. Yeah, but do not worry about filling the hours or finishing from beginning to the end of certain given scales. That's not the point. The point should be just tuning your ears, listening really, really well, and come up with a healthy fingerings. So there's a couple rules that works in general. Of course, you have to try with your own hand. When shifting, you want to use longer fingers, not pinky. So shifting, try to use second and third is a better option. First finger is better than pinky, but it's not. If you can avoid, if you run with the middle fingers, that's a better one. When it comes to, sometimes the teachers say you have to practice with a metronome, and then first one beat each note, and then one beat for 2 notes, one beat for 3 notes. The ideas are good, but if you feel like you're forced to play in a faster tempo and you get tense, and then at this point you're doing more harm than good. It's better without practice, without metronome, play really calm and relaxed way, than forcefully playing intense, in great tension with a metronome. Because again, because you are practicing to play with tension, so that defeats the purpose. In that case, might as well just play without metronome so that you stay relaxed and controlled. When it comes to bowing, same thing. If you want to slur, whether suggestion of Galamian, Flesch, Gilels, high fret, whomever, try to slur while shifting. Because when you shift your left hand, it is already shaking in a way. So by slurring those, you're helping your left hand to slide it nice and calm way, and also you're keeping your left hand a little more relaxed. So it's not always 2 slurred, 4 slurred, 3 slurred, or whatsoever, even though that's also good exercise, but try to slur while shifting. And even the scale book says 1 octave, 2 octave, 4 octaves, whatever. If 4 octaves are too hard for you to play, ignore about it. Or if 4 octaves, you're playing 4 octave G major scale, but last top octave is hard, then practice only that. It does not have to be with a written tempo, written bowing, written finger, none of those. Just play 1 note at a time, separate bow long enough until you reach the calm zone, complete relaxed way of playing. The reason why we're practicing scale at the beginning of practicing is so that you reach the level of complete control so that you can move on to the difficult repertoire. If you get already worked up or all tense while playing scale, it's gonna just do more harm than good. Yeah, it's not about playing through, but learning to get to the relaxed zone. Yeah. But let's say you don't have time and you don't know what to warm up, or you don't even have a scale book, and that's okay. All you need to know is what kind of key signature you have, which is easy to find anywhere on internet. That's a C major, no sharps, no flats. 1 sharp is G major or E minor, and so on. Pick a key signature, and then just find a fingering that works for you. Every shifting it risks a bit intonation, so if you can reduce the amount of shifting would be good sometimes. And also if you want to control the bow, the dividing the bow or proportioning the bow right, and then just work on that. When you start with a one note per bow, then 2 notes by dividing the bow half, then 3, 4, and so on. I like my students, I like to encourage my students to start with a broken thirds. I find that's the best way starting scale instead of just going straight, which is, it teaches you the relationship of the intonation. You can hear better, and also it sits your head nicely instead of each just a single one. Instead of, I find this is better one, which is broken third. On and on like that, which warms your hand nicely and also make sure it forces your left hand to be in a nice hand position. Yeah. So I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching. And it is a lot. There are a lot of information, but always ultimately it has to work with you. Yeah. So I hope to see you again. Please remember to subscribe and share my videos. Bye bye.